Hello, and welcome to Good Burger Reviews. I'm here to do a brand new 2025 movie review, and the movie is The Conjuring Last Rites.
This thing in your house is a demon. It's the first one that we ever encountered. We were young. We were scared. We ran away.
This movie was released in September of 2025. It is starring Patrick Wilson and Vima Farmiga, directed by Michael Chavez. The basic premise is a 1986 paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren travel to Pennsylvania to vanquish a demon from the Smurl family's home. Welcome back to my channel. We are still in the beginning of what I call Summerween. This movie was requested by one of my patrons for me to do a review on. So this review's for you. Albert, thanks for requesting because I've been highly anticipating The Conjuring Last Rites. And I'm ready to break this down, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But before I do, please like, subscribe, tap that notification bell, and all that jazz. This movie is a blend of multiple movies, and while watching The Conjuring Last Rites, many of these movies came to mind. Annabelle, Oculus, Meet the Parents, and A Fast and the Furious moment. Well, you might be saying, well, that's an odd blend. And yes, it is an odd blend. So let's get into the details. So I'm going to start with the positives. One of the positives is this is a traditional haunts, spooks, bump of the nights, demons knocking on the doors, and all that in this one. Another positive that I will add to this one is newcomers to the franchise, Mia Tomlinson and Ben Hardy, who play Lorraine and Ed Warren's son-in-law and daughter, Judy and Tony Speara. And Ben and Mia do a good job portraying these characters who end up being main characters in this movie. Also in the positives is this film was set at the Smurl home, which is located in West Piston, Pennsylvania, which is a real town near Wilkes-Barre and Scranton, a coal mining town, and they did a great job of showing what a coal mining town in 1986 really looked like. And unfortunately, that is all I have for the positive on Conjuring Last Rites. This movie as a whole is a real mixed bag. So let's get into what mixes me on this one. And to start with is Ed and Lorraine Warren and the Smurls. I am totally mixed on their roles in this movie. So I'm going to back this up by saying this story has been told before in a movie. Back all the way in 1991, there was a TV movie called The Haunting. And I remember when it was released and actually staying up late to watch it. Probably against my parents' wishes. Now, it was a straight-to-TV movie and it probably wasn't that great. But it was scary and it did feature this story of the Smurl haunting. Now, at the time, when the Smurl haunting happened, it was very popularized, very, just like Amityville, it was in the news, there was a media circus, it was just everything. And since Amity had done this before, the Smurls, when they started their claims, it created the same atmosphere. Reporters were at their house, and so forth. And the Warrens actually did go to the Smurl house and investigate their case. I know these movies are just based on true stories. They're not meant to be true depictions. But I feel like they totally botched it on this one with how much the families are reversed. So in all of the Conjuring movies, it's always Ed and Lorraine and Judy battling a demon and the family battling a demon. But it always seems like the other family is like the people who are the primary focus of the haunting. But in this one, it's not the case. It's like the Smurls are in it, but they're almost like side characters or background characters or you know, supporting roles. They never really in this one give a full focus to what happened in the Smurl haunting. So instead, what this movie does is really just put Ed and Lorraine and Judy and Tony in the forefront of everything, and the demons seem to be totally involved in them more than the Smurls. And from what I understand, that's not really how it happened. So the people playing the Smurls, the actors, actresses, I mean, they were okay, but I feel like there wasn't anyone known there. They were smaller roles. I mean, it seemed like everything that occurred in that haunting movie and everything that was depicted from the original Smurl haunting was wrapped up in a few scenes, and then the Warrens take over the rest. And mainly Judy, and I felt like Judy Warren, their daughter, was never really that involved in their cases. And I'm also mixed on Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson's performances as Ed and Lorraine this time. I think for one is they're primarily the same characters, having the same conversation, having the same dialogue, and I feel like it was done much better in the first movie and the second one, and even the third one. I feel like the third one definitely emphasized their love relationship, and that's emphasized here a little bit. But again, like, they go through the whole heart attack thing with Ed, and that was done. That was done in The Devil Made Me Do It. So why are we, revisiting that same theme in this one? It seemed like there was a lot of revisiting with Ed and Lorraine, a lot of the same lines. And I don't know if this franchise, I mean, alright, it's on year 12. Has it been around long enough to be a legacy? Because I feel like it was kind of trying to be a legacy film, and the Warren story does span a lifetime. The Conjuring universe spans all the way back to 1952, all the way into now, with this one being the most furthest into the future of 1986. But if you think about it, the original Conjuring took place in 1971. The Annabelle story was 1970. So really, at this point in Ed and Lorraine's career, it was like a 16-year legacy of being in the limelight. And I do have to say, I'm disappointed that the Smurls took a back seat in this. I felt like there was a whole batch of new characters that really weren't developed. There really wasn't much about them. And it was like, there was like one or two little haunted scenes, and then like all of a sudden it's like they're arguing, like they want to move out of the house. They're calling on the Warrens. There wasn't much build up to them getting the Warrens involved, and I thought they really could have had more build up there.
Jack and Janet Smurl claim that an evil presence has found its way into their home.
8 people live in this house. 8 people have experienced this. 8 people are not crazy.
When I went online and read everything that Jack and Janet Smurl claimed happened in their house, there was a lot to play with. And they claimed that they were haunted from 1974 all the way up until 1989. That's a long time. So what are the negatives on this one? Well, it wasn't scary. I was never scared of this at all. In fact, I found myself chuckling a lot. And so many tropes, so many things that have been redone before in this movie. And there was nothing new. So like, in the beginning I said there was some movie blends, and I mentioned Annabelle and Oculus, which are the 2 horror movies that are blended in this. And they really brought Annabelle back for a few scenes to torment Judy, and to just be in there as scares because they had nothing else to present. And, Oculus was the mirror, and this whole haunting was based on it was in the mirror that was given to one of the Smurl girls during her confirmation, and that's where the demon comes in this movie. So we've seen that before, because Oculus was a whole entire movie based on 2 siblings who find a cursed mirror and spend a whole movie battling demons in a mirror. And this mirror was really big, so as a conduit, it was like the biggest. Like if you think of all the conduits that have been in their films, they're relatively small. In fact, till now, Annabelle's been the biggest conduit. Most of them are like this size, like the little music box, and then the totem that was in 3, and there was a little, I think it was another music box also in Conjuring 2. The Enfield poltergeist had a little box as well. But this mirror is like one of those like door length mirrors. And I mean, the mirror itself was haunting looking. I mean, I feel like the mirror in Oculus was definitely more scarier than this. It basically had these little babies on the top of it that were like kind of scary looking. But they kind of made a joke of it because they kept saying the one baby in the center looked like this one Smurl daughter. And that's where else I would say is a negative for me. There was just a little bit too much comedy in this one that pulls me out of the scare factor. I found myself just giggling at a lot of things. I said there was a Fast and Furious moment. So there's this one scene where Tony Speara, their son-in-law, jumps in Ed Warren's car because they're trying to get the mirror out of the house. And he has this Fast and the Furious moment where he jumps in this cool 1970s looking sports car and flips it around and actually does a Tokyo drift into a parking spot to avoid a demon. And I thought, what? What the heck's going on here? I mean, it was comical. Like, why is he Tokyo drifting away from demons? And why is he flying around like a bat out of hell in his brand new father-in-law's car? And that was what was giving me like a Meet the Parents vibe or a Father of the Bride vibe, because in this one they're really introducing Tony as a new character because Tony becomes Judy's future husband, and in the beginning of this movie he proposes to her, and it's like this whole Meet the Parents scenario. And Patrick Wilson is no Robert De Niro. I mean, he tried to kind of be like that strong middle-aged father figure that's going to be intimidating to the young 20-year-old, but it just came off more comical for not the really funny reasons that they're trying to be comical for. So, the priest, Father Gordon. For one, Father Gordon, it was in the first one, he was in the third one, and he was in now this one. Now, all these priests are centralized like by diocese, and they're like in specific areas. It's very rare that they travel, like, unless they're on a missionary or on a mission of some sort. And these are just local priests that usually stay within their parish. Well, Father Gordon drives all the way to Pennsylvania from Rhode Island, which probably would have never really happened. Even though the Smurls were requesting a lot of help and drawing a lot of attention to themselves with all their ghost stories, it just seemed like the way this went down, like he shows up at the house, he does like a blessing, it does nothing. Then he promises the Smurls that he's going to try and get a hold of the church to take them more seriously. And he shows up at the church, and it's like, all of a sudden it's like the demon followed him out of the house, and like he kills himself in like while a demon's chasing him. And so, first of all, this is rough. Like, it literally was like there was some janitor vacuuming or like when they smooth the floor, like had some sort of machine with a plug, and he's sitting there waiting for the archbishop to come out, and it's like you see this plug unraveling in the background. I'm like, is something haunted about to happen in this church rectory? Like the demon left the Smurl house and showed up at the church rectory just to get the priest. And yes, apparently that's what happens. I don't know why or how, because the storytelling in this is just rough. Like, there's an exposition dump by Lorraine about who these ghosts are. It's so basic. Oh, 3 ghosts are blocking this bigger demon. They never get to who the bigger demon is. All we know is the bigger demon is part of the mirror. And one of the 3 ghosts looked like the demon from the Smile Demon. So there's this one ghost that's like this man carrying an axe. In this movie, he is the scariest of all the ghosts, but he wasn't that scary. The smile demon was way scarier. But in one of the scenes where we get a closer look at him, I'm like, did the actor who played the smiling demon at the end of the original Smile play this ghost? Because the face is so super close. So let me rewind. In the opening scene, the prologue, it is a throwback to 1964, where young Ed and Lorraine Warren, and Lorraine is pregnant and she's about to give birth to Judy. Now, for some unknown reason that they never really explain, and I guess it has something to do with this mirror that is the conduit in this movie, the demon shows up while Judy's being born, and Judy like dies or is stillborn. As Ed said, she was a stillborn, and Lorraine ends up just begging that God that she comes back to life, and she does. And I thought, oh boy, this was a rough start. Like, what the heck? Like, she's just gonna beg for her to come back to life, and she does. No explanation, no nothing, just really bizarre and random. I mean, the whole pregnancy scene was like trying to be like the First Omen or Immaculate. I don't even know what, because it's like, you know, this wasn't a pregnancy horror. We just had this one little pregnancy scene. And then we flash forward to 1986. And soon as we hit 1986, they started throwing in the 1986 pop songs and trying to give that vibe of the 1980s. And the only thing that ever gave me a vibe of the 1980s was the music. Because the way everything looked, the way everyone dressed, the way these characters are, and because we know them from the 1970s, it still felt like the 70s.
So, when did this start?
Heather's confirmation.
7th of September.
There's something in the attic.
Then we switch over to the Smurl family, where they are at their daughter's confirmation. Now, again, this will be a nitpick, but as we know, I know these things as being raised Catholic of how things go. She's at her confirmation, but she's dressed up like she's at a First Communion. She's got, like, when you're at a First Communion, little girls wear like these white dresses. They look like little brides. And usually at confirmations, it's more of a reserved, casual dress up. Not like a prom, but like more reserved, but like really fancy. But not white dresses. But she's got the white dress and a veil for her confirmation. So I'm already like, yeah, the priest is acting wrong. The ceremonies are all wrong. Now, the one thing they did get right with the Smurls was the prayers. So they did say the St. Michael the Archangel prayer. And I just mentioned this in Hell House LLC lineage because the priest was similar, but they ended up getting the prayers right. Now, Hell House LLC lineage has been getting rough reviews, and now I feel like maybe this Conjuring 4 is going to get rough reviews because, you know, 5th installment of that franchise. This is the 4th installment on this one, I think. OMG, I just said it about LLC. Is this franchise starting to run out of steam? And the only thing that really happens with the Smurls and their haunting is the mirror shows up at a birthday, or I guess it was the confirmation. The mirror shows up at the confirmation, and there's this one scene where she blows out a candle, and then like there's this demon present ever since the mirror showed up. It's very basic with the Smurl part and the Smurl haunting. And then we flip back to what's going on with the Warrens. Now the Warrens are in happy time. You know, they're meeting their new son-in-law to be, and he shows up at their like gathering that they're hosting. And then we flip back into this whole 1980s party where the Lorraines are hosting. And, you know, now they're trying to, it's like their characters are trying to retire and move past the whole paranormal investigation thing. But, like, they can't. It's like everyone's bringing it up. You know, everyone wants them for that stuff. They're constantly getting calls. You know, someone needs them. There's a ghost here, a ghost there. And then, like, they're also being displayed as like somewhat jokes. Like in this one scene, they're at this lecture, And like in the first movie, when they were in a lecture, it was like completely jam-packed. Everyone had questions, wanted to know all about them. In this one, when the lights come on and the lecture's over, there's like 8 random people there, and they basically treat them like a joke. And that part, again, was when it was comical. You know, they got referred to as the Ghostbusters, you know, trying to do a little 80s trope, calling them Ghostbusters. And, you know, I guess they're just trying to portray them as washed up now. But they really weren't, because then they go into action eventually when they go to the Smurls. So once everyone's present in Pennsylvania, which the reason they go to Pennsylvania is the priest goes first, then he dies. And then, before they go, they have this funeral. And this was another thing. After the priest dies, which he committed suicide, which I thought was, what the heck? Why? I don't know why Father Gordon needed to die. It didn't make any sense to me, but the funeral also was inaccurate as far as what a priest's funeral would be like. First of all, Lorraine Warren was the one that gave the eulogy, and I just thought, yeah, that would be a priest, probably the bishop, or a priest that knew him better than Lorraine and Ed. But obviously, the funeral services the movie and not services what would really happen in real life, because I've been to a priest's funeral, and they're huge. I mean, priests spend their whole lives serving, and they get moved around a lot, so they know a lot of people. So when they die, all the people from all the churches they served in tend to show up and want to pay their respects. I mean, they marry a lot of people, so they end up being important roles for a lot of people. So there was like 30 people at this funeral. Like, when I went to one priest's funeral, I felt like over 1,000 were there. But that's me just being nitpicky, so we're gonna move past the whole that thing. But after the funeral, then Judy is like, it's like this demon is calling out to Judy. Now remember, in the beginning, this demon was around when she was born, but then they get rid of it, really with no effort for all this time. Now also, it seems like with Lorraine and Judy, that it's like Lorraine is like, not only is she trying to be done with the paranormal thing, but like she doesn't want Judy to embrace her gift, which seems odd. I feel like people who usually have this gift and they see someone else who has the gift, they encourage them to use it for their benefit, but not Lorraine. Lorraine is trying to get Judy to just get rid of it or just ignore it, shut it out. And they have this little nursery rhyme which becomes central to the movie that she says, and I don't know the nursery rhyme by heart, even though they said it like 8 to 10 times. You know, something about a little pocket and someone comes to find it, a locket, and it makes these demons go away. But of course, within this movie, as this demon gets bigger and badder, it doesn't always work. So again, when I said like the Smurls took a back seat, so once the Warrens are in the Smurls' house, not much goes down with the Smurls except for a little bit, but like basically the Smurls get evacuated and Ed, Lorraine, Tony, and Judy spend the climax battling this mirror demon.
In nomine Patris, et Filii et Spiritus Sanctus, by the power of our Lord Jesus Christ.
At this point in the movie, I already knew that I was getting unsatisfied with the way it was going, but I thought, can the ending save it? And no. The ending was basic, generic, predictable, and this is where I felt like in the climax where Ed and Lorraine were the most basic, just some of their lining and like some of their reactions to what was going on. And it seems like the climax wasn't that long. They basically get rid of the demon that's in the mirror by all of the Warrens and Tony Speara putting their hands on the mirror, and then that's it. Like, that's it. And then they put the mirror in their trunk, take it back to Rhode Island, put it in their little sanctuary of demonology and all their little trinkets that they have. And then, you know, it's over. But they want to still try and be a legacy, so they're having their little Judy and Tony's wedding. Because remember, in the beginning of the movie, he proposed, and Ed and Tony have this cool little conversation, and then it flash forwards to their wedding day. And then this is what, like, come on, like, totally hokey. So, like, The entire, okay, I won't say the entire, but like, it was like, this wedding was like the Conjuring cast reunion. You had Lily Taylor in there, another Conjuring one daughter was in the church sitting, watching Judy go down the aisle. The people who were in the Conjuring 2 were sitting there as well, and I thought, really? They live in London and they were super freaking poor. There was no way that the people who were in the Enfield house could ever afford to fly to Rhode Island for a wedding. And they were there. I was just laughing because, like, and then I thought, where's Arnie Johnson from The Devil Made Me Do It? What, he couldn't show? Oh yeah, he was in jail. I guess that's why he couldn't be at the wedding. But I mean, it was so ridiculous. And I just thought, like, I remember at the end of The Exorcist Believer where, like, Reagan shows up and sees Chris McNeil, and it's like this heartfelt reunion. And even that was kind of wasted, but at least they had this heartfelt moment in that one. This wasn't even heartfelt. You just see Lily Taylor sitting there watching her go down the aisle, and she's just looking at her like she's some long lost aunt. And I just thought, ugh, they didn't need to be in. I mean, it was funny to see them, but they had no point. There was no, they never even did anything but just sat there, and I thought, what the heck? I'm gonna get down to business on this one. I've roasted it enough. This is a veggie burger. I mean, it really dropped the ball. I'm disappointed in it. I just feel like at the end of the day, the original Conjuring scared me to, well, not like The Exorcist, but for 2013, I was a young adult, it scared me. And like, literally, I remember when I went to see it the first time, that night I was up all night researching who Ed and Lorraine Warren were, reading about their cases, scaring the heck out of myself, not being able to sleep. And like, from the movie and everything I read about the Warrens and their investigations, I was scared. But with this, before I got up here to, you know, do this review, I sat there and I'm going on my phone and on my tablet, not to look up the Smurl case, because I've already read the Smurl case and seen the Smurl movie, but I was like researching stuff just to try and figure out how badly they messed up what really happened in the Smurl haunting. Because, I mean, you know, that's what I was Googling. You know, what really happened to the Smurls. There was pacing issues. I mean, the scares were so generic. The demons were not scary. The mirror, I mean, I was never scared. I mean, there was a few tense moments where I thought, oh, okay, maybe something will pull this out of the slog fest. But not really. No, I mean, this was disappointing. I'm not going to give it a spam because, you know, I mean, there was some good stuff to it. And I don't hate it. I'm just disappointed. I just think this was a rough way to end this Conjuring series. Now, we'll see if it actually ends. Because like with all these giant franchises, it never ends. At one point I thought, are they gearing Judy and Tony up to be like the new Ed and Lorraine Warren, where they can take on the next set of cases? You know, that didn't happen in real life. I know Tony got involved with the Warrens a lot as he became older and became more involved in their family. But like, yeah, I mean, this may not be the last of it. I mean, I think they'll make a Nun 3, they'll make an Annabelle 4. I mean, who knows? The series will go on, but they really have to step it up a notch better than this. Because when you're getting 4 and 5 into these big franchises, you've really got to put on your big boy pants and make it work. Make it scary. Because the Conjuring universe has been known to be scary. You know, some of the Annabelles are really scary. In fact, I just watched all 3 of them in preparation to this one, thinking, oh, I want to, you know, catch everything that I need to catch that they might put in front of me in this movie. And I loved the original Conjurings. 1 and 2 are awesome, and 3's okay. 3 is serviceable enough for me. But 4 drops the ball. Anyhow, don't forget to stay scared of those demonized mirrors that have no point.
Lorraine!